Wrestling fans, can you feel it? The 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest explodes into December. We can't bring you a live wrestling event in 2020, but we're bringing you a plethora of live interviews and virtual autograph signings to continue our tradition of updating Santa's GPS to find every kid's home. This Friday night, December the 11th, we're joined by the massive Warlord in studio. This Saturday, December the 12th, Native American Tatanka joins us for the toy drive for the very first time. Then this Sunday, December the 13th, it's a doubleheader of Future Star Superstars, is the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann joins us for the first time in studio in 8 years, along with up-and-comer Wheeler Yuta, who recently competed in the Ring of Honor Pure title tournament, along with competing here in Boston Wrestling MWF. John Cena Sr. will also have a live episode and is working the phone lines on the North Pole to try and make this year's drive even bigger. Individual autographs and an all-inclusive VIP package is available online now. If you order your signed photos before or during the live appearances, the superstars will sign them on the air and then mailed directly to your home. If you want a VIP package but you missed some of the superstars' live appearances, don't worry. They've signed enough photos and posters for us to ship to you by December the 19th. If that wasn't enough, we're working on items for our annual mega raffle where one lucky fan will walk away with a huge jackpot of prizes, all to benefit the toy drive and honor the memory of the late, great Paul Bearer, who helped myself and John Cena Sr. start this endeavor in 2012. Head on over to bostonwrestling.com to get your orders in now. Let's create smiles in 2020.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a bonus edition of Wrestling Insiders as we review the Monday, December the 7th, 2020 edition of WWE Monday Night Raw under the Thunderdome at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. It's a big week of Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interviews this week, all of which are available with early ad-free access, along with hundreds of other episodes and full-length studio shoot interview DVDs, all while helping keep wrestling legends working at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling, a great way to give back to veterans and legends that have largely been out of work for 9 months now due to coronavirus. It'll cost you less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Patreon service gives you so much great content, especially now that the weather is getting colder and we're still in a semi-quarantine, a coronavirus way of life. Try it out for a month. It helps us, and you might just come to love it. At the top of the hour tonight, WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas defends Vince McMahon and WWE from Andrew Yang. Tomorrow night, Wednesday at 10, it's the mid-series finale of Wrestling Insiders Rush Hour with the man of the hour, my good friend Leo Rush, who's making waves in New Japan Pro Wrestling as we speak. Thursday night at 10 p.m., it's time to party with Marty as Marty Jannetty shoots on 1990 steroid testing in the WWF, along with the Montreal Screwjob at Survivor Series 1997. Friday night, after the lights go down at the Thunderdome, John Cena Sr.'s dome lights up as Margot Ouellette's main squeeze shoots on Drew McIntyre as the top superstar in WWE, as well as potential WrestleMania main events. Along with these Wrestling Insider talk shows, look for special tributes to Paul Bearer and Pat Patterson throughout December. It's also a big week for the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest, as we have not one, not two, but three big live virtual signings for you to look forward to. Friday night at 8 p.m., the massive Warlord joins us for the first time. Saturday night at 8 p.m., it's Native American Tatanka live in studio. Then Sunday night, it's one I'm really looking forward to in the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann joining us live in studio for the first time in 8 years. Individual autograph tickets and VIP packages are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. Let's join together as a wrestling community to help update Santa Claus's GPS and honor the memory of the late, great Paul Bearer. As we prepare to run down the results, news, and views, we again want to thank you for helping us set record numbers in September and October. November was a great month too, but the numbers were down a little bit. Down a little bit. You know, we need to give them a little Viagra. We need to get them up. To keep doing what we do best, we need your help to end 2020 with a bang here in the month of December. The amount of work it takes behind the scenes would blow you away to see what it takes to put the on-air content we give you several days a week a reality. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you so much for making this year overall such a great year, but we want to keep growing. We want to get more veterans and legends involved in the studio and producing content with them to tell their stories. Help use this platform as a way for them to earn an income. There are 3 simple ways you can help without it costing you a nickel. Number 1, share. Share links to our videos on your social media. Text them, email them. Stay 6 feet away from someone and yell it out the window. Strangers in the streets, let them know if they look like they're a professional wrestling fan about all the great stuff we have going on. I continue to be a humble man. I know there are millions of wrestling fans that have no idea we exist, but I believe that once they find us, they will absolutely love us. Wouldn't it be something if we had original talk shows like we do with Leo, Tony, Marty, and John Cena Sr. 7 nights a week? Think of the difference it would make in those wrestlers' lives, too, having that extra income during the worst of times with no live events and almost no personal appearances to be had. Imagine if we can continue to grow it even more, and we could have 2 superstars on having individual talk shows every night. The possibilities are endless with the more wrestling fans we have involved. It's all about you guys. The formula is simple. Without pro wrestling fans, shows like this don't exist. The professional wrestling industry doesn't exist. So again, I don't have a hat on, but I tip my cap to you. Number 2, simply hit the thumbs up button. The more people showing love to this in each of our videos, the more love YouTube shows us in suggesting videos to other fans. It's very simple. Number 3, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, it's absolutely free. It provides you updates on all the new videos and access to well over 2,000 videos in the archives. As usual, we're interested in your thoughts on last night's wrestling extravaganza. Hoping the whole gang is here with us tonight. We're talking about Slick Rick B up in his new home in Maine, Tania, whatever your true name may be, Maria Davis, the Pittsburgh Steelers' favorite girl. We're talking about our new friend Vaughn, Trigger Trey, Ken, all of the great Kevins, Big Ant from Thunder Valley, which may be my favorite name, Will Cortez, my longtime friend Brian Duffy, who joins us now on a regular basis, even Larson, who goes MIA from time to time, and all of the great regulars we enjoy hanging out with us. If you're not a regular, become one. You know, we're an interesting group of wrestling friends, a wrestling community. Sometimes there is a little bit of arguing, but that can make it even more fun sometimes. Whether you're watching the live premiere with us or in the archives, share your thoughts on the wrestling shows using a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Usually with Raw, we get a lot of low numbers, AEW somewhere in the middle, NXT somewhere in the middle, and SmackDown usually does all right for itself. But we want your input. Christmas is coming, so please head on over to the eBay store. The link is too long for me to say, so you can find it in the description box below, as well as simply heading on over to bostonwrestling.com and hitting the store button. We have an awesome collection of rare autographed wrestling memorabilia for sale that includes video shout-out thank yous from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders. Is our thanks for helping keep the shows going. Don't forget that Tony Atlas himself is available for commissioned artwork, prints, personal phone calls, cameo-style videos, autographs, and more. Finally, our WWE T-shirt bundle fundraiser continues at bostonwrestling.com/shirts. .html. If that link is too much for you to remember, again, that's also in the description box below. For the regular price of a t-shirt on WWE Shop, you get not only the t-shirt itself, but you get a WWE cup, you get a mystery autograph photo, as well, again, as that on-air shout-out from Tony Atlas thanking you personally by name. We've got brand new shirts of current WWE and NXT superstars, the legends of the WWF, as well as the kick-ass superstars of the Attitude Era. We're also trying something a little new, putting together special packages that include posters. Right now we have that for Bray Wyatt and the Ultimate Warrior. With all that said, joining me now is Southwestern Connecticut's finest, Mr. Matt Degnan. Let's talk wrestling. Well, it was an unbelievable edition of Monday Night Raw. Matt, happy to have you back here after what was a memorable weekend here at the studio.
It was definitely. I'll definitely remember that, even though I don't want to. But
you don't want to remember the weekend at the studio now. Are there any particular reasons?
I believe the reasons will be coming out this weekend.
The reasons maybe a little bit on the nasty side.
Definitely, maybe even past nasty. But
past
sure
nasty. Well, we'll have to wait and see then. All right.
Disgusting would be the word.
Disgusting. All right. Well, a lot of ways we could look at that. But speaking of disgusting, it was the final WWE Raw at the Amway Center underneath the Thunderdome in Orlando, Florida, before they pack up and head on out. Let's run down the show from top to bottom and everything in between as we give our thoughts on the show. Kick it away, kiddo. I know you are the best when it comes to guiding us through these episodic television shows.
To talk about other things that aren't memorable, Randy Orton kicked off Raw, as you said the last time, at the Amway Center, as they'll be moving to Tropicana Field. Orton cut a promo about facing The Fiend at TLC and confronting Bray Wyatt later in the show inside the Firefly Funhouse. Wyatt then interrupted the promo on the big screen with some type of game show, some type of Price is Right. He put on his wig, his little piece, like he was Bob Barker and John Cena.
Yeah, I was gonna throw that in there. Yeah,
he was like he was a combination of the both. He was Bob Barker and John Cena Sr. I tend to always say these segments can't get any worse, but then they do, and that's just I couldn't believe when they were doing that game show. What was the point of it? Is what I said. Is why are they doing this? Like, who does it help? You know, I don't get the point of it. What did you think of this opening segment? That
I thought you went from a nice Pat Patterson tribute to absolute garbage, I guess maybe is the best way to put it.
I think they could have put a better opening segment than that. I mean, both Randy and Bray, we saw them, how many times throughout the night, whether it was backstage or out in the ring. So, I mean, we'll get into their main event match later on, but I mean, how many times do you need two guys to be in one show? I mean, you could say that about almost everybody on Raw now, is how many times they appear on television weekly. But I mean, they could have came up with a better opening segment right after the Pat Patterson tribute. A stupid game show segment that, not even the game show segment, just the Firefly Funhouse by itself is just stupid. Then you add in the other shenanigans that they do with it, like when they did Bray Wyatt training for his match, the game show, the thing they did with Alexa Bliss changing her eye colors, and it's just way to make a segment even worse. I guess
it was a night that was easy to change the channel to begin, at least.
That's why I like watching the next day, so I can at least get through the commercials.
There you go.
So, anything else to add to this wonderful opening of Monday Night Raw?
No. That was more than seeing it once was more than enough. Even thinking about it again is mind-numbing.
We'll move on to the next match. Raw Women's Champion Asuka defeated Shayna Baszler in a non-title match via roll-up after Shayna Baszler was distracted by Lana and Nia Jax having their outside of the ring skirmish, I guess you could describe it as, and she was so distracted that she got rolled up by Asuka. You know, Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, I guess she can't even put away Shayna Baszler clean, and now Baszler has been pinned, I believe, 3 weeks in a row on Raw.
Well, the one thing that stood out to me about that is maybe just for the freshness factor of it. They stated that it was the first time Oscar and Shayna had ever gone at it in singles competition. That might have been a match I would have saved for the pay-per-view, if not the upcoming pay-per-view. But again, that's just one man's opinion. There's been far worse, but there was nothing really, anything to write home about this one.
Yeah, I don't even know how long it was. I think it was about, 5 minutes, 6 minutes?
No, I didn't have the stopwatch out, believe it or not, but long enough, I guess, is a good answer.
And two of the better women in WWE, I mean, for the first time them facing each other, you're going to have them go, 5 minutes? I mean, as you said, you can have this on a pay-per-view with a well-built storyline. I mean, instead of just randomly thrown on a Raw where you're going to see them face each other again in just 2 weeks at TLC in a tag team match, which I'm sure will be changed to a tables match next week. But Lana didn't get put through the table again, so
I was disappointed.
I don't know if they're going to shy away from the tables stipulation, but more to find out, I guess. I'm on the edge of my seat. The next match, Ricochet and Dana Brooke defeated Slapjack and Reckoning in a mixed tag team match. Yet another loss for Retribution, and their days in WWE seem to be winding down. Retribution, an awful storyline that should have never been done. From the get-go, it really had nothing to it. Even the first night they debuted, it was kind of whatever. It just felt like another Nexus, trainees trying to take over the main roster, trying to cause havoc, attacking people, destroying equipment, going after people in high positions, going after the announcers, the ring crew, everybody. It felt like another Nexus 10 years later. And as you say, people really don't care. And I just don't know who would care about guys in masks trying to take out Ricochet and Dana Brooke. I mean, at least go for, Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, people that go after people that people care about. Don't go after, Ricochet and all the lower people who haven't wrestled in months. I mean, if you want to make a statement, go after the higher ups and not just, quote unquote jobbers. I mean, there's more you could do than just. What did they do? They lit on fire the in the parking lot at the Performance Center. They lit something on fire there. They cut the ring ropes. They spray painted glass that they can easily replace. I mean, did they really do anything, as we say, hellacious? No. I mean, they never made them as a true threat. And even when they started having matches, they were never a true threat. They were never imposing to people. Every time they went in a match with someone, did they ever look scared? No. Whenever they started attacking people, did they look scared? No. Did they do anything storyline-wise to stop them from getting in the building? No. It's the whole thing, and then signing them to contracts and then drafting them to Raw. Almost every step of the way for Retribution has just been a mess. And that's just a mess is the plain way to put it. What did you think of this match?
Well, going into it, for whatever reason, I was under the assumption that it was going to be Mustafa Ali. And I said, geez, that it has some potential. When Ricochet and Ali were in the match, I didn't realize it would be the superstar known as Slapjack. It was awfully quick, and it seemed like it was kind of over before it even started, which was probably for the best. Again, a waste of Ricochet and a waste of an opportunity. I think Ricochet and Ali would have been something that at least would have been highly watchable, if nothing else.
I have a feeling we might be seeing that on the TLC kickoff show.
Maybe.
That'll be announced as the kickoff show is happening, because they really don't tend to care too much about the kickoff show matches at all. The next segment, Miz TV, hosted by Mr. Money in the Bank, The Miz, and John Morrison, with guest AJ Styles and his bodyguard. Styles went into detail of what he was going to do to Drew McIntyre at TLC in their TLC match for the WWE Championship. The awful segment was then, of course, interrupted by Sheamus and WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. Everyone went back and forth, and then it turned into a brawl, and Sheamus and McIntyre sent Miz and Morrison packing. While Styles bailed out of the ring on helping them, I mean, good on Styles for getting out of the ring. I mean, it made sense for him to kind of just be like, why do I have to help these guys? I got a championship match with less than 2 weeks to go. I thought the segment itself was awful. Wow, when Miz and Morrison were doing those fake accents of Scottish and Irish people, and it was just so stupid. Their comedy is not good. As I always say, you can relate it to the Jericho and MJF comedy they try to do on AEW. It's corny and it's not funny at all. But it's just, they tend to do these Miz TV segments every week now, and I don't know which ones have been good at all. I mean, almost every week I keep saying it's awful comedy. So I don't know what they need to do to make it better. I mean, it's the same thing every week with Miz TV. They come out, they do some stupid comedy, they mention someone's name and start making fun of them. Then they come out, then they argue back and forth for about a minute, and then they end up fighting. And then Miz and Morrison get sent packing up the ramp again. It's just rinse and repeat with Miz TV. But what did you think of it this week?
It just reminds me of almost like the DX reunion they did in 2006 when you had two guys in their 40s trying to do, freshman and sophomore high school type humor that isn't really getting over and really not helping the cause. My note was I wasn't interested in seeing anyone involved in that segment in any sort of a match whatsoever, whether it be Miz, Morrison. AJ is so bland now with Osmosis or whatever the name of that big bodyguard he has is. Sheamus has been an afterthought for many, many years now, and Drew McIntyre has lost a lot since he lost that championship. As I noted, the man should have never lost a match until there were fans back in the arena, so WWE could gouge the live response from the fans instantaneously, not those that complain on Twitter or chat on Twitter or things like that, but actual human instantaneous reactions. So they dropped the ball on that, and that was my only real thought. I not only do I not want to see this, but I don't want to see the handicap match later on.
Well, we'll get to there in just a little bit. I know how excited you are about it. The next match, Kofi Kingston defeated Shelton Benjamin. After the match, Cedric Alexander challenged Kingston almost right away to another match that ended up with Alexander defeating Kofi. Another good old 50-50 booking strikes again. I guess no one can ever get a run of wins in WWE, and even when you do, you end up getting someone beating you, like when Natalya beat Bayley. Bayley was on a string of wins, and then she started losing a lot, and then started winning again. It's just, you can't get a string of wins now in WWE to kind of build your character.
There aren't enough bodies. That's, at the end of the day, they don't have enough actual human beings to go out there and wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, you could say a lot of things about what's going on now. I mean, even when they do
who do you get a big string of wins up against when you're talking about right now? They have a roster of generally around, between the men and women, around 20 people that you see every week.
No. I'm not saying that's not a problem. I'm just saying that's one of the various problems going on right now. But that's certainly a major issue. But I mean, Kofi, he defeats Shelton. So, I mean, you're like, okay, that's a good win for him. And then Cedric challenges him. And he says, I beat Xavier Woods last week. Now I can beat you. But, I mean, Kingston was already in one match. But, I mean, even his match against Shelton, that was about, I don't even know if it was 5 minutes. He beat him after Shelton was about to get counted out, ran in the ring, got caught with the Trouble in Paradise for the 1-2-3. So at least that was clean. And then Cedric pinned Kofi clean. So I guess you can't complain too much. But what did you think of both of these matches?
No, I disagree. I thought it was actually very well done. It was nice to see a battle of MWF alumni with Kofi Kingston over the former MWF heavyweight champion Shelton Benjamin. I thought the spot right before the finish, where instead of cutting to a commercial break while the referee was in the middle of counting someone out, Shelton was outside the ring until the 9 count, barely stumbled back into the ring. Kofi hit his finish for the win. I thought that was good. And then as they were getting ready to go to the commercial breaks, Cedric called out Kofi back to the ring, wanting a singles match. It made sense where he beat Woods last week. Kofi comes back in, takes a pinfall loss to Cedric. You could say, geez, the guy that was the world champion last year is losing to a mid-card guy at best in December of 2020, but Kofi just had a competitive match with Shelton. They sold the fact that he injured his leg. It gave Cedric credibility to come away with the pinfall win over Kofi and Xavier last week. It gives them more reason to at least continue the tag team matches between New Day and Hurt Business, which I'm sure we're going to be seeing for quite a while, considering the lack of tag teams in the division overall. But as far as how they placed those puzzle pieces together, I actually thought it was pretty good.
I mean, it would have been good, but I mean, we're probably going to see them face each other next week and then TLC and then the week after. I remember I said on a show about a month ago when they had their first matchup, kind of right after the draft a little bit. I remember I had in my notes, I said, it was a great match, but I know we're going to see these two teams facing off against each other for months, at least 3 or 4 months, because they have to get through, the Rumble and then to Mania, and then I'm sure they're going to have yet another draft or shakeup like they usually do after Mania, because they always have to shake up everything after Mania, and they have to bring
They didn't do that this past year.
No, I know, but usually
I think now that's going to be a fall thing with the new fall seasons, the way the TV contracts work. I
liked it if I knew we weren't going to see the same thing for the next couple weeks, and that's like, I'm sure we'll get Xavier and Shelton next week, and then I'm sure we get a rematch of Kofi and Cedric, because Kofi's probably going to come out and say, all right, well, I want to face Cedric Alexander clean instead of right off of a matchup I just had. So I'm sure we'll get just the reverse of it next week, where Kofi will beat Cedric and then Shelton. Segment was good, but knowing we're going to get it for the next couple weeks, I wasn't too thrilled, but that's wishful thinking. AJ Styles, John Morrison, and The Miz defeated Sheamus and WWE Champion Drew McIntyre in a 3-on-2 handicap match. Styles pinned Sheamus after Sheamus accidentally hit McIntyre with a bro kick and took him out. Then Styles capitalized with a phenomenal forearm while Sheamus was kind of distracted. They got the win, which I didn't think they would win, but at least Sheamus got pinned and not McIntyre. But I liked Styles beating Sheamus. I just think I would have rather seen them set up Styles and Sheamus than the 3-on-2 handicap match that I really didn't care about. But I would have had Styles go over Sheamus in a 1-on-1. But what did you think about this match?
Considering who was in it, I didn't think it was that bad of a match. It was the right finish, with AJ going over with a pinfall victory, heading into the main event title match at the TLC pay-per-view against Drew McIntyre. I would rather have seen Sheamus have taken the pin here than a lot of the times when they like to see the champion lose going in to a singles match and a tag match on Raw going into the show. McIntyre shouldn't have even have had the loss that he's had. Sheamus taking the pin. Nobody really is invested in Sheamus all that much anyway. So considering who was in it, it was better than I thought it would be. It held my interest more than I thought it would.
Yeah, I said the same thing when I was watching. I said, this is actually, especially the ending of it, I thought that was the right ending to do, as me and you said. And I thought the match itself was good. I didn't think I would like it as much. I thought there was going to be too much bullshit going on, but it was actually pretty good. And it was one of the few bright spots of the show. As we move into the next segment here, where they went backstage throughout the night, they had little blocks of the show that were just interviews and backstage segments. And this time, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus brawled backstage and then took out WWE producer Pat Buck while he tried to break them up. But he failed miserably, and he was put through a table. McIntyre and Sheamus then just laughed it off and went to go get drinks together with Drew McIntyre buying. Maybe the Nasty Boy should have went with him.
If it was free, I'm sure they would have enjoyed it.
But I don't know if the announcers explained it like that, but I know on social media I saw that they kind of shoved it off like they were brothers and brothers fight type of thing.
Yeah, that was my interpretation of it.
Yeah. What did you think of this segment?
I really didn't care, to be quite honest, but That could have been said for a lot of what was on the show last night. No, it seems like at some point they're going to build to a match between the two. And when I think of matches I really have little interest in seeing in 2021, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus would rank right up there. But when you have that lack of roster talent, that lack of physical bodies on the roster, you're going to get matches like that.
You think they're going to build up to WrestleMania?
With those two?
Yeah.
No, are you kidding me?
Well, I
That'll
don't know.
be like that. If they put that on a pay-per-view main event, I'd be surprised. Maybe where the Royal Rumble can sometimes have a weaker championship match where the main focus of the show is the Rumble match itself. Maybe I could see McIntyre squashing Sheamus in a scenario like that, but to put that as a main event right now where Sheamus has been on the totem pole on a non-Rumble pay-per-view like that would be atrocious.
What about Sheamus costing McIntyre the title and Miz cashing in?
I'd probably shrug my shoulders, but I guess anything is possible in WWE.
Anything. The next match, United States Champion Bobby Lashley defeated Jeff Hardy in a non-title match. I thought it was actually another segment or match that I thought was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was a solid match. It looks like Riddle's now going to be paired with Jeff Hardy now, as he was ringside for the match and helped Hardy helped him after the match from more of a beatdown from Lashley. And even before the match even started, Riddle offered Jeff Hardy some bro nuts. Would you have liked some bro nuts?
No, I just wish they'd do away with everything they do with Matt Riddle, other than from when the bell rings to start the match till when the bell rings when the match ends. Anything other than that is just complete and utter childish stupidity that is not going to generate a larger fan base. It's not going to sell merchandise. It's not going to help their TV ratings. And it's a guy that's a great athlete with a legitimate background, which they should be pushing, instead of presenting him like a complete and utter fool. But I thought the Lashley and Hardy match was good. I thought that was one that they could have saved for the pay-per-view, because I don't remember a Lashley-Hardy singles match, and those are two guys that actually do have a little bit of credibility. Kind of a clean job for Jeff Hardy. No interference, or it wasn't one of your favorite roll-ups or anything like that. It made Lashley look strong headed into the pay-per-view, and I have no idea what he's going to be doing on the pay-per-view. I imagine they're probably going to build up something with Riddle on next week's show, since they announced so many matches last minute nowadays.
I'm sure we'll get Riddle and Lashley for the United States title. Maybe it turns into a triple threat. Who knows? But I have a feeling they're going the way of Riddle and Lashley, especially what they did backstage last week or the week before when MVP went up to Riddle and then Lashley attacked him from behind and everything. So I think that's the way we're headed right now for the United States title. As we move into the main event here, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt didn't have a winner, because when Orton went to go pin Wyatt, the lights went out and the Fiend appeared under Randy while he was pinning Bray. I actually liked the ending to the match. I thought it was cool. I just didn't like them doing this match less than 2 weeks before they face each other at TLC. Just more overkill for them. The show then ended with The Fiend giving Randy Orton the mandible claw. I thought if you didn't have as many screwy finishes in WWE, I thought this would have been much better. But for the amount of matches that end in just bullshit, I don't like adding another match that ends in whatever. But I mean, you don't want to do something clean with them. That's also the other thing. You don't want to do a clean finish because they face each other in 2 weeks. But I thought the match itself was good, but knowing that in 2 weeks we're going to see it yet again on December 20th, you can't really get into it too much. What did you think of the main event?
Anything that has to do with the Mr. Rogers version of Bray Wyatt, I tune out mentally pretty quick. I like most things involved with The Fiend. I think this is going to be interesting. I don't know if I would say I'm exactly excited to see Randy Orton and The Fiend on pay-per-view, but it's one of the more interesting matches they have on TLC. And I think it's a challenge for Randy Orton. I think if you look back at his body of work over the past 18 years since he debuted on the main roster. The only real dud of a feud he's had was in 2017 with the Waylon Mercy version of Bray Wyatt when they went at WrestleMania 33, and I think it was whatever the following month's pay-per-view was. I believe it was Extreme Rules when they had the match inside the haunted house, which I guess was a cinematic match before the cinematic match terminology was cool. It was just a disaster, and the WrestleMania match just wasn't all that good. So if maybe a more aggressive Fiend is a better opponent for Orton, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out on Sunday night, December the 20th, or in the ridiculous WWE phrasing of things, 1 week from Sunday. I don't know why WWE is so opposed to actually giving the date of the shows as opposed to this weird terminology, but such is life.
The House of Horrors match was at Payback 2017.
I apologize. Okay, so the disaster they had at Payback 2017.
One of the many disasters, but I mean, I don't know why.
It's the only bad feud I can think of that Randy Orton's had since he debuted in 2002, and I think that's quite the compliment, that in 18 years of full-time work, really, the only bad feud body of work that you want to look at was over a 2-month period with Wyatt.
Even when we did the TLC 2009 watch-along, which will be airing before TLC 2020 on December 19th, Saturday, his match with Kofi Kingston, that whole feud, we even talked about it when we did the watch-along. I mean, Kofi was fairly new to WWE. It was his first big program, and that was still even solid between both of those guys. So, I mean, again, 2017, that feud he did there, and then I'll agree with you on that, but Randy, he's had a solid career.
I think it's fair to say that he's probably, maybe had about 6,000 matches with John Cena that were a bit too many, but none of them were bad. The only matches that I can think of that were actually just bad were those two back-to-back matches at WrestleMania and on the Payback show with Bray Wyatt. So hopefully this more aggressive Fiend maybe will bring out a more aggressive Orton, and you'll get a better match than we saw in 2017. That remains to be seen, and the subscribers of WWE Network will have to tune in for the big one to find out how it culminates.
It'll be a big one. We'll go into our grades now of Raw. I thought the show, especially I would say the second half of the show, wasn't great, but I mean, it was better than it usually is. I gave Raw a 4 out of 10. I thought it was I wouldn't say good, but I would say it's a solid show, better than the past couple weeks, in my opinion. What would you give Raw last night?
I actually was just a tad bit higher than you. I thought the tributes to Pat Patterson were very nice. I liked the fact that they didn't job Ricochet out. I liked all of the Hurt Business and New Day matches and segments. The handicap match was much better than I thought it would be coming out of the Miz TV segment. I liked the Lashley and Hardy match, and while I may not have been a huge fan of Orton against Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt, I did enjoy at least the climax where the Fiend attacked Orton. So I give it a 5 out of 10. I'll go halfway. There was a lot that I didn't like. There was a lot I did like this week, so I'll go in the middle.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot better than what they kind of put out.
I wouldn't go that far, but
No, I'm not. No.
At least it wasn't one of the threes like they've usually been getting of late.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's been better than past. I'm not saying it was a great show, but I'm saying it's better than what it has been.
Yeah.
But as we go into the news and notes of Raw, I only have one here. WWE is looking to pair the real-life couple of Andrade and Charlotte Flair on screen. What do you think of that pair?
I think it would be excellent for Andrade. I think it would do nothing but help him. They are not going to piss on Charlotte Flair due to who she is and her status in the business and who her father is. Andrade is a guy that I feel, while his English may not be up to par, in WWE land. I think he has all the talent, all the charisma in the world to be a main event level heel. I would go all the way with that if I was WWE. Whoever came up with that idea is an intelligent person.
Well, that's it for the news and notes. I mean, they tend to not announce stuff the week before. They love to announce stuff last minute and right before the show starts to not really build up the show, but I guess that's that. That was it for Raw. I mean, we tend to go through a 3-hour Raw quicker than we usually do with SmackDown. I mean, just it's the same shit every week with Raw, and that's why we go through it so quick.
Well, many more things of note going on in our world than certainly there is right now in the world of Monday Night Raw when it comes to the unexpected. One thing you can always count on is Tuesday night at 10 p.m. You have a longtime close personal friend, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, joining us. Wrestling Inside is at your house, where he defends Vince McMahon in WWE against Andrew Yang. That was not what I expected. Wednesday night, we have it's going to be a special double feature. This hasn't even been announced until now, but before WWE NXT and AEW and the Challenge 36 on MTV, at 7:30 p.m., your new friend Brian Knobbs joins us for his tribute to Pat Patterson, a road warrior animal and paying dues in professional wrestling. An interesting episode. And then after NXT, AEW, and the Challenge 36 at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's the mid-series finale of Wrestling Insiders with Leo Rush, the Rush Hour. So you get some great wrestling talk before the block of pro wrestling on cable TV, and you get some great wrestling talk on the block after that block at 10 p.m. So that's going to be something interesting we're trying. A little bit of wrestling before, a little bit of wrestling after. Then, of course, Thursday, we'll be back at 9 with talking AEW and WWE NXT. 10 o'clock on Thursday night can only mean one thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to party with Marty. Marty always has a lot to say about absolutely everything, and he'll even have a lot to say about things that have nothing to do with the topic of the show. So that's always a lot of fun. Then Friday, after the lights go down in the Thunderdome at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, John Cena Sr.'s dome lights up more than it does like Rudolph's nose, or when Johnny sees his new flame, Margot Ouellette, from the Ms. and Mrs. reality show. So that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, too. All of those programs are available now, right now, early, ad-free access, full screen, plus the Studio Shoot Interview DVDs, all while helping keep wrestling legends working over at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Not only are all the talk shows for the rest of this week available, but next Tuesday's episode of Wrestling Insiders at Your House is also available already, really early, where Tony discusses the potential of Big E as the WWE main eventer. Tony can be rough sometimes on on the New Day members. Other times he tends to like the New Day members. So we'll see what Tony's thoughts are as far as Big E's potential as a top singles babyface in the world of SmackDown on the Fox network. So that's an interesting show itself. Tons of content on the Patreon. You can't go wrong for just a couple bucks. Forgo the cup of coffee at Starbucks. Help keep the wrestling legends working. We have so much great content this week, Matt. As you know, we taped several great tributes to Pat Patterson that are going to be running. We have several special Paul Bearer tributes and holiday headlocks, Christmas toy drive videos that haven't run yet. Again, this Friday night at 8 p.m., we're going to be joined live in studio by the massive Warlord. Just a lot of great things happening this week, next week, as we wrap up 2020. Let's make December 2020 the biggest month in the history of at least our video presentation, so to speak. We had a record-breaking September. We had a record-breaking October. We had a great November, even though things dipped just a tad. So let's, almost like with coronavirus, let's reverse the curve, baby. Let's reverse the curve. Let's make December 2020 our biggest month. Yet certainly the most unique variety of guests we've ever had, all while honoring the memory of the late, great Paul Bearer, and while putting some goodwill into the world with our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest. We couldn't bring you that live event in 2020 for the obvious reasons, but we can still create a lot of smiles for a lot of kids who Santa is just having a hard time finding. Technology is always changing. Those GPSs always need to be updated, so we're going to do everything we can on a pro wrestling end to make it happen. There's a ton of different toy drives out there. You have the Salvation Army bell ringers out there. You have the Quincy's and the Renos of the world looking for free turkeys. You're a wrestling fan, take part in a wrestling-themed toy drive. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of great prizes, a lot of great autographs. Head on over to bostonwrestling.com for complete information. Anything else to add?
No.
All right, then. Well, for my partner in crime on these podcast-style review shows, Matt Degnan, I'm Dan Mirade. We will be back to talk NXT and AEW Dynamite Thursday night at 9. Don't forget, the top of the hour, 10 p.m., Tony Atlas is back. He probably already started talking. Even when the episode is over, he'll still be talking. We'll see you then. Good night. Wrestling fans, can you feel it? The 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest explodes into December. We can't bring you a live wrestling event in 2020, but we're bringing you a plethora of live interviews and virtual autograph signings to continue our tradition of updating Santa's GPS to find every kid's home. This Friday night, December the 11th, we're joined by the massive Warlord in studio. This Saturday, December the 12th, Native American Tatanka joins us for the toy drive for the very first time. Then this Sunday, December the 13th, it's a doubleheader of Future Star Superstars, is the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann joins us for the first time in studio in 8 years, along with up-and-comer Wheeler Yuta, who recently competed in the Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament, along with competing here in Boston Wrestling MWF. John Cena Sr. will also have a live episode and is working the phone lines on the North Pole to try and make this year's drive even bigger. Individual autographs and an all-inclusive VIP package is available online now. If you order your signed photos before or during the live appearances, the superstars will sign them on the air and then mailed directly to your home. If you want a VIP package but you missed some of the superstars' live appearances, don't worry. They've signed enough photos and posters for us to ship to you by December the 19th. If that wasn't enough, we're working on items for our annual mega raffle where one lucky fan will walk away with a huge jackpot of prizes, all to benefit the toy drive and honor the memory of the late, great Paul Bearer, who helped myself and John Cena Sr. start this endeavor in 2012. Head on over to bostonwrestling.com to get your orders in now. Let's create smiles in 2020.